Diana, please. I think we're gonna do a 15 minutes presentation, around 15 minutes. And then I think we can leave all the comments for the end of the presentations, of all presentations, right? Okay, perfect. So can you share your screen, Diana?
Yeah, so you listen, you see, just to be sure this time.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you. So just
Diana, just one small thing. I don't know if you can just raise your volume, because we listen to you now, but it's very low.
Sorry.
Only if it's possible. If not, it's okay. I can raise my volume here.
audios,
Maybe it helps.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just give me a minute to take my audios and to make it and to connect it. Maybe you will hear better with this. I don't know why it's so low. The sounds. Is it okay now? No,
it's fine. No, I raised my volume. It's fine. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, just let me see last time. Sorry for that. Yeah, I think it will be better now. Can you just confirm one? Okay, thank you so much. Tiago, you can tell me when I'm about 15 minutes to do not take the time of the others, please. Thank you so much. So thank you very much, everybody. Hi, good evening, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. So how I say, I'm Diana. I'm a PhD student at Paris University in Latin American Studies, and today I will present a start of a work that I'm doing for my PhD in economics. It's still a start because the microdata are not available for now in Mexico. So I hope to have more comments to make it better and to continue working on it. So I will present you today labyrinth work in the tourist industry, evidence from municipality of Cancun in Mexico. So I will start with the antecedents, the framework, then I will show you the preliminary results and the discussion. So first, I think it's important to see the motivation as the service sector is seen or perceived as a stagnant sector for the economy. But we can say that tourism is acting a little bit different as it has exceeded the manufacturing and agriculture exports those ultimate years, this ultimate decades. So tourism is about 10% of the, well, it was before the pandemic, 10% of the world GDP, and it has 10 years of consecutive growth for mostly for the developing country. So it's very important because it's boosting revenue, improve balance of payments, generate foreign exchange, and it's develop infrastructure in the local area. It's also a labor-intensive industry that creates job and income for the local people with 330 million jobs. and it contributes also for women, young, and migrant workers. It has also negative effects in the literature, has low qualified and skilled jobs, seasonality, long working hours, low wage, and among others. No? In my case, it's a study case of Mexico. So just to have the context, Mexico was the seventh place in 2019 with 45 million entry of foreign tourists, and it was the 10th in terms of GDP. So it was, well, it still is an economic potential, as it has a bigger growth of the national economy of the other sectors, and it contributes for 15% of the GDP and 70% of the employment. Just to mention the pandemic, it was a huge opportunity for Mexico because they didn't close the borders, the Aryan borders, and they didn't have restriction as test and quarantine and these things. So it was an opportunity, and it hits the third place at the world level with just losing 40% of the arrivals of international tourists. I think it's important to mention, but the pandemic has a big impact in employment. The big destination in the international tourism of Mexico is first Cancun with Quintana Roo. Then you have the Ciudad de Mexico, which is here. You have Puerto Vallarta, Guadalajara, Los Cabos, which is very close from the frontier of United States, and Monterrey in Mazatlan, which are others in the country. But Quintana Roo is very interesting because it's the first state receiving international tourism with 16 million tourists in 2019, and it's a huge economic activity for the country, as it provides 43% of total foreign exchange of Mexico. In the states, there's 9 municipalities, and Benito Juárez, which is the municipality of Cancun, alone provide or participate to 46% of the state's tourism and travel GDP. It's also contributing to 40% of its employment, which is very, very important for the states. Just to mention that Cancun was raised from this about 50 years ago now, just for international tourists, and raised from the government policies. Just to have an idea, in 1975, it has 8,050 inhabitants, and last census of last year was about 900,000 people. So it's a huge growth in terms of economic and in terms of demographic increase, no? So the framework I used, first of the literature, I based the study on specialization, which is from the economic and geographic or regional literature. And I focusing on the tourist specialization with index as the RCA or the local quotients, depend on the literature. And one of the recent study, which was made by Faber and Gover, see the relation, among other, between tourism and economic development as the increase of 10% of the revenue of local hotel revenue can have an impact of 2.5% in the municipality employment. So this is what I want to study in my case. And I'm using the accommodation and food service because the tourism is a cross sector where you can find transports, accommodation, food, beverage, travel agents or leisure activities. So It's very complex to study, but in my case, I will focus on this sector because of the strong composition of economic activity. We will see further on in Cancun how it's working, and in employment. In the tourist sector, we can see that mostly of the wages are low, but there are also other studies which demonstrate that the wages are higher in specialized tourist region. So this see that my question will be, does tourist specialization contribute to local employment in the municipality of Cancun? The objective in here right now will be to describe the tourist specialization and the labor structure of the municipality, then to explore the composition and the distribution of tourism workers, and then identify the working condition in this region to add a little bit value of the presentation. The methodology I use is based on the data of the economic census, which was published last year, provided by the National Institute of Statistics and Geography. The area is the Benito Juarez, which, as I said, is the municipality of Cancun. The population will be the economic units by sector and firm size. The universe of analysis will be the workers, and the design study is observational, cross-sectional, retrospective, and descriptive. The variable is obviously employment, and I will use variables to describe better the industry of tourism. So the results. I will start with the labor structure to give you an idea how it is working in this municipality in particular. And we can see that there is main three sectors: retail trade, temporary accommodation service, and food and beverage preparation service, which I will a little bit reduce for the next slides. The administrative support and waste management service and remediation service. So sector 46, 72, and 56. So here you can see it's a little bit table, but here is the municipality of is the states of Quintana Roo, sorry. And here you can see the economic unit of the municipality of Benito Juarez, which is 44% of the economic units. In total employment, you can see is 47% of the employment. And it's not here, but the municipality contributes to 50% of the productions, which is huge. In the municipality, you can see there the three sectors. In the economic units, the first one is retail, then the accommodation service, and after the public administration, but in our case, it's not relevant. In employment, which is our main variable, we can see that the accommodation food service take place before the retail trade and the administrative waste and remediation service. And if you see there in the remuneration, we can see that there is diminution between the difference between the tourist sector, which is accommodation and food service, and the administrative waste, which has a very few economic units. So it's just important to have a big idea of how it's working in the municipality. And further, we will see about the tourism industry and the workers. First, it's important to see the difference between the size distribution of firms. I disaggregate, as I could, the sector in accommodation and food service. We have different distribution, and it's very important in our case because, as we can see, 88% of the accommodation service is our micro firms. But I have to mention that even if there is 88% of micro firms, the the small amount of large film has a bigger impact. The fact is that 58%, 58 films, large films, contributes to 70% of the added value in the sector. And those 58 films provide 56% of the employment in the sector. So the distribution is very different of the employment that they provide. In food service, we can see it's a little bit better distributed, but the food service has a less impact on the service sector, on the tourist sector. So then the employment distribution by subsectors. So we can see that the accommodation service provide the main employment, as I said. But if we see in the nature of employment, it's almost the same between accommodation and food service. The variable that change, or the number that change, is in not employed, that are almost 27,000 not employed in the accommodation service, which we will see it's very important for accommodation service. And in not paid, we can see that food service is more important than accommodation service. Two fact that it's important to not to take in mind. Then the occupation by subsector, there is in the census two categories: administrative, accounting, and management, and then production, sales, and service. Most of the workers are in the production, sales, and service, even in food service or accommodation. And by gender. So we can see according to the ILO, the tourism is providing a lot of work for women, about 50%. But here we can see that most of the work are for men. So there is a difference. Here you can see in accommodation service, the difference is important. A little bit less in food service, but the difference we can see here, as I said, is when we see the not paid workers are mostly women than men. Then you saw that there was two categories, the employees and then the not employees. The not employees in the census has two categories: the category of outsourcing, subcontracting by other firms, and the workers that are not contracting, but they are independent, and this category does not very exist in the tourist ministry, so I didn't take it in this chart. So about the outsourcing, we can see this time that the accommodation service is taking most of the outsourcing workers, and there is more men than women another time. So you can see the distribution here, women's less than men in food service. It's not relevant. Here, the accommodation is also more than men, and in not employment, this is the aggregates of the two. So to add a little bit value to this descriptive statistic, there is 2 or 3 as the sub-variables that is important to mention, the working hours. It's very difficult because in the census, they're aggregates and they're not related to workers, but to firms. So what we could see is that more than 60% of the working hours are worked by subcontracted workers in accommodation service, and most worked by employee in food service, which is the difference we made at the beginning. Then the remuneration is lower than the municipality average in the tourist sector, and between the subsector is lower in the food service, and we can see in the occupation that it's higher in administrative service, 30% up in the accommodation service, and we can see that it can raise 80% more in food service. Then two more very important things is that most of the units of the firms, like 90%, are not registered in the social security system, national social security system. So 90% or 91% do not or cannot provide social security to their workers. It's higher than the average of the municipality of Benito Juárez, and it's important to mention that in Mexico, it is an obligation to give a social security, but you can have other way to provide to your workers. And then the tax administration service, 50% are registered or not registered. You can see the both sides, and it's also lower than the average of the municipality of Benito Juárez. So to conclude, to open the discussion, I think we can see that tourism is a main provider of employment in the municipality of Benito Juárez. We have to make the distinction. It's very important. As I said, 58 firms contribute to 56% of the employment. So you have to make the difference between accommodation and food sector for the employment. Most of the workforce are men and work in the production and sales service, and the outsourced force is taking place in accommodation service as working hours. In the term of remuneration, is higher in accommodation service, and for administration workers, it could be more investigated in the distribution of the size firms, and we can see from the moment that there is a duality between the productivity and the employment and also the remuneration. So for now is what I have for the data, but I also can mention, and I don't know for the moment how to take it in my study, but the unemployment is very low in Mexico. Actually, is 1.8% for Mexico and 7.8 for Quintana Roo. For the moment, because of the pandemic, is lower usually. But the informal sector is 27%, and the informal labor is almost 50% of the states. So it has a huge place, and it will be interesting to investigate in the tourist sector how it is participating in the employment in formal or informal sectors. So thank you very much. I hope I did not take too much time, and I hope your comments or your suggestions.
Thanks a lot, Diana. We're gonna make all the presentations and open for comments and questions afterwards, okay? But it was great presentation. So now I'm gonna pass the floor to Shujaat. I hope I'm pronouncing correctly.
Can you hear me, Thiago?
It's very low, Shujaat.
Thiago, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you well.
Good morning, Thiago, Professor Caro, and other my friends from other part of the world. Let me share my screen. Thiago, can you guide me how to share my screen?
Yes, you will see in the bottom of the screen, There's many
Share.
options. Yeah, share screen. Could you see it? Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Then firstly, I should open my presentation. Then I click share screen, I think.
You can open now your presentation. I think it's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Perfect. We're seeing it.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, is it okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm Shujaat Haider, a student of Unicamp Economics Department. I'm presenting my master thesis proposal on forced marriage, which is a case of Pakistan. Actually, I'm from Pakistan. My thesis is being supervised by Professor Eugenia, and it is my initial work. Okay. Let me first talk about the background of the study. Actually, in Pakistan, 48% of the total population are women, estimated by the World Bank in 2018. And estimates further demonstrated the population gap by the age group is about 1.0 males born to every female. Pakistan's age disparity and childhood mortality is very dismal. And according to the survey, that there is about 30 to 50% chance of dying a female child between first and fifth years life. Education disparities were also eye-opening, where only 45.8% of female population were literate, is against to 69.5% of the population. Electoral turnout in Pakistan is not different from other disparities, where in 2008, the gap between male and female voters jumped to 12.15 million. According to the Election Commission of Pakistan, the female constitutes about 44.1% of registered voters. That was a bit background. Introduction of the study. According to the UNICEF, a marriage is defined as a child marriage happening under the age of 18. Child marriage is a common practice in South Asia, where 50 to 70% of girls become victim of forced marriage. Human rights asserts that individuals must enter into a marriage with mutual consents at legal age. Noor 2009 states that there are over 60 million girls who are forced into marriage worldwide, and 31 million are from South Asia. It is a very big figure for the South Asia. In Pakistan, 50% girls reported at the age of 2024 who were married underage were encountering spousal violence in 2007. According to the United Nations Population Fund, over 140 million child girls will be forced into marriage over a period spanning from 2011 to 2020. UN News Service section, 140 million child girls will be forced into marriage over a period of spanning from 2011 to 2020. Research problem. In Pakistan, every girl's boys are engaged forcefully into wedlock against their consent. Every year, sorry. In Pakistan, families arranged marriages, often traditionally, without consent, in most cases, no consultation with the family of boys and girls, thereby forcing them against their will, which consequently lead to overlook state law regarding minimum age at marriage. Over the past years, reported cases are unprecedented, which further exacerbate the bleak socio-economic condition. According to Amnesty International in Asia and Pacific, Child Marriages 2012, that the government of Pakistan historically has done little to help ensure that marriages are performed in mutual consent, but instead it has been reported that age of the girls are changed in marriage certificate in order to avoid underage marriage law. Significance of study. Over the past decades, the issue of gender equality much debated. The immediate outcome was the realization of policies with inclusion of women in every sphere of life, including economy and other activities which involve greater participation of them, because exclusion has caused a drastic impact on the society and economy as a whole. In this regard, in 1995, United Nations International Conference on Women was held in Beijing, China, with the objective of securing gender equality and improving women empowerment. Therefore, gender equality is of prime importance in United Nations agenda and is ranked 5th in Sustainable Development Goals. Justification of the study. There is a paucity of research in literature regarding forced marriage in connection to Pakistan, where the situation of this problem is seen ever elevated without powering any consideration both by government and researchers. This article would try to fill the gap, thus bring the issue on the table of policymakers. Research objective. This paper aims to dissect in depth the socio-economic impact of forced marriage and would come out with policy recommendations therein. Research question. The following questions would be investigated regarding forced marriage. What are the causes of forced marriage, be it legal, Islamic, poverty, customary marriages, Wani, Vata, marriage with Holy Quran? What consequences would society bear due to forced marriage? Education, labor force participation, honor killing, health. Literature review. A number of possible motives behind forced marriage were counted by the Home Office Working Group, a choice by right 2000. First category of motive behind the forced marriage was the family and fellow group pressure in order to ensure that the property may be a land would remain within family. Second category of motive encompasses the controlling of sexuality and independent bearing. For example, a forced marriage is practiced in many societies and cultures in order to avoid undesirable before marriage sex and criminal activity. The third category of motive involves to protect family honor along with culture and religion perceived by the family. Methodology. The paper would apply integrative review method in order to provide theoretical summarization of the literature pertaining to forced marriage in a compact way. Data are collected from different sources such as UNDP, UNICEF, WHO, Statistical Bureau of Pakistan. Conclusions and recommendations are awaiting. These are the references. Thank you, Thiago. I'm finished. I'm open to the question and suggestions.
Thank you a lot, Shujaat. Great and very important research. I hope this debate today can contribute to you. But first, I think we will have our last presentation from Darío and Verónica, and then we can open for discussions. So Darío, I think it's you, right? So. The floor is yours.
Hi, Thiago. Hi, everyone. I will try to share my screen. I think
Shujaat has to stop sharing, no?
Yeah.
Shujaat, you need to stop sharing your screen so Darío can share his screen.
Okay, ma'am, I'm trying to stop it.
I don't know if Thiago can do that.
I think
because he's the co-host.
Camila is the host, so I think she's the only. Maybe me as a. Let me
No,
see.
I can't. Please, Shujaat, click on stop
Where
sharing.
should I go, Camila?
Oh yeah, I could do it.
Now it's done. Now it's done.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So please, Darío.
Perfect. Can you see my screen? Presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Well, first, hi everyone. I want to thank the organizers because of the opportunity to present this work. I will present a work that is part of my PhD thesis. That is my thesis is oriented with to research the medical devices sector and specifically the capabilities to trying to map the capabilities in Argentina. The presentation is called Knowledge Base in Medical Technologies towards a technology map and the position of the sector technology leaders. I wrote this work together with Ignacio Cretini and Verónica Roberto, which is my thesis supervisor from CEED-UNSAM. I want to be brief with this part. The main motivation of this work is to study an important part of the health industrial complex, that is the medical devices sector, taking into account the relevance of this complex in terms of access to healthcare and reducing technological, sanitary, and economic dependence. This was highlighted by the COVID-19 crisis, but it was important before. The main aims of this work is to characterize the knowledge-based composition in the medical devices sector, to analyze its dynamics and differentiate communities of technologies and the main nodes of our knowledge field. Another aim of this work is to address the situation for leader and follower countries, and to find opportunities or niches for developing countries related with their actual capabilities. Of course, this is oriented to Argentina, but it can be made for other countries, other developing countries also. In terms of the theoretical framework of the work, it refers mainly to health economic industrial complex concept and health innovation systems, and also it refers to economics of innovation literature, and especially neo-Schumpeterian literature related with dynamic capabilities and the possibilities of diversification of the firms. And we borrowed, especially in this work, the concept of knowledge base from Malerva and Vázquez to characterize the main components or main pieces of knowledge of the sector. Our main we aim we focus on the mergers and acquisition mainly as a mechanism for expanding the knowledge base, for expanding knowledge base in two main directions between big firms like capital concentration and centralization, and specifically, for example, searching specific capabilities on between these big firms and conglomerates, but also the acquisition of technological startups that is mainly a trend which is rising since the 1990s or 2000. Although of course M&A have other possible aims, we try to focus on the knowledge base from this perspective. The methodology was mainly to build a network or this to represent the knowledge base of the sector in a network, which borrowing data from Crunchbase. Crunchbase is a database which compiles different type of information of companies, acquisitions, investors, people, and funding rounds. And the main sources of Crunchbase are the investor networks and different community contributors, between them the own firms, especially the technological startups firm which want to be considered for an acquisition for the big companies. And in this sense, there are some limitations of this database, mainly that the data is concentrated after 2006. The companies are classified geographically by the origin of capital and not by the location of the establishments or the facilities. And the main and maybe the most important for our work is that the definition of industry or the classification that uses Crunchbase is not compatible with traditional sectoral or product classification. So in this sense, we try to construct based classification, a classification of sectors and technologies in order to identify capabilities that relate to medical device industry. In this sense, this classification that Crunchbase provide, is built from data provided by the contributors to the database, and it's updated from time to time, and the classification is updated. So in March 2021, there were 707 industries where the same company could be classified in more than one industry. And there is a huge variety of elements under the category industries. They can be sectors or activities like medical devices or wind energy, but they can be also specific technologies like artificial intelligence, wireless communication, or it can include also categories that are not sectors like adult, Xbox, or sports, in terms of characterize the main activity field of the firms. So we try to clean this classification in terms of to exclude these not sectors and also the technology that are not relevant for our specific study, like AgTech, for example. And after building this classification, we made based on these search terms, we look for companies in the with these terms in their abstracts to take into account the companies related with medical devices activities. In this sense, we found 8,762 companies. We added some the companies acquired by these companies, and we remove the companies whose industry fields contain exclusively the words healthcare, medical, or medical device without adding any additional information. So we had a total database of 7,660 companies. Just to characterize, we are referring, these are the main actors, the main companies of the sector. There are many of them have facilities, for example, in Brazil, and for example, General Electric or Medtronic. And we build the networks in terms of the companies and the co-occurrence of sectors and technologies in this company. So there are a kind of bimodal network. We connect companies and sectors or technologies. And the same company can participate in different technologies. The idea is that we will focus on a network that is constructed based on that, that is this network, sector and technology network, which where two sectors are linked if there are companies which simultaneously dominate these technologies. I want to show some results. Just to take into account, the database is the North American companies are overrepresented in the database, and Asian countries are underrepresented. This is the resulting network for these mergers and these finding the companies related with medical devices activities and how they relate in terms of technologies. We can distinguish three communities, three main knowledge fields. One, the purple knowledge field is related with ICTs and software technologies. The orange is related to manufacturing and engineering capabilities, and the last one, the green, is related with biotechnology and pharmaceutical knowledge. I will evade this. We analyze the evolution of this of the network in terms of trying to identify the diversification of the firms in these knowledge fields, and up to 2005 we distinguish only for the acquiree companies of the firms four knowledge fields that, if we observe, this field will merge with, after 2006, will merge with the purple information and communication technology capabilities. That is, and they refer, in our interpretation, in our opinion, this refers to a process of technological convergence between the first wave of ICTs and the most modern ICT technologies. In this sense, we can see this kind of technological convergence that in the green circles we have the different sectors and technologies which compose the original group, that is the original blue group, light blue group. Sorry. In this sense, or other aspect that we can highlight is that there are sectors that emerged after 2006 that acquire some importance or relevance, and in like diabetes or neuroscience, biotechnology in general is more important after 2006, and the same it start to arise some knowledge fields like artificial intelligence or machine learning, which will acquire in the recent years more importance in this ICTs and software related knowledge. This is sum up in this table. Manufacturing and engineering capabilities start to lose ground vis-a-vis the software and biotechnology capabilities. We designed through an algorithm the maximum spanning tree of the network. That is, this maximum spanning tree filters out the weakest links between nodes, representing the most frequent productive diversification path taken by firms in the sector. And we can see in this network that mainly manufacturing capabilities are like a bridge. More traditional capabilities are like a bridge to advance to other type of capabilities. In this sense, we distinguish the largest community of ICTs in different sub-communities, which are colored in different types of purple and blue and green, sorry. And these are the sub-communities. I don't want to pay much attention on this. And after that, to conclude, we distinguish the position of the main leaders of the medical devices sector in terms of countries in this spanning tree. Or, for example, we calculate the specialization index based similar to Balazs's revealed comparative advantages, but with capabilities. In order to identify which are the main capabilities that countries have developed in this network. And in this sense, we have a group of diversified countries that they have a lot of nodes with a specialization. For example, the United States, some European countries, China and India. And there are some partially diversified countries, for example, Australia, that it has no specialization in terms of virtual reality, for example, capabilities. There are some countries with dual specialization because they have, sorry again, they have this well, they have specialization in two out of the three main knowledge fields. For example, Denmark has no specialization in terms of manufacturing and engineering capabilities, but it has specialization in biotechnology and software and ICTs. The same, there are countries with simple specialization, and these are like kind of examples of this of how the different countries are represented in terms of capabilities in this network. For example, United States is very diversified, the same with Germany, and we have some countries like Japan that has no much specialization on biopharma, but and the same, for example, Mexico has lower capabilities, and Argentina it's very limited. So to sum up, the main results is that we distinguish three main knowledge fields, and in the knowledge field associated with software and ICTs, we have 4 sub-communities. Some picture of the historical evolution of the sector in terms of capabilities reveal that engineering and manufacturing capabilities are seen as essential to move into more dynamic and complex segments of the sector, where leading countries have advantages. However, the growth of ICTs and conversion trajectories with the biotech field are shown to be the main trends, and the diversification trajectories from manufacturing has passed through first phase, where acquisition were characterized by the acquisition of companies with manufacturing capabilities, and also the acquisition of companies with the first wave ICT competencies, and in the second phase, the traditional manufacturing capabilities lose ground to the process of technological conversions towards ICTs. So, in this sense, we also found these 4 groups of countries. The fourth group is the most of the countries that don't have any outstanding capability, and well, I think this is a very point of start the analysis of the situation of developing countries, to specifically Argentina, to study this important sector in terms of independence, technological dependence problems, or economical dependence, also our sanitary autonomy. Well, that's all. Sorry if I passed the time.